Travel has definitely taken a hit these last couple years, and it's hard to believe we're entering our third year of COVID. Maybe for you, you've had to delay or cancel trips that you've wanted to go on. And now that we're here in 2022, you might be wondering what you can expect this year to look like for travel. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on what travel will look like for this year. And be sure to stick around towards the end of the video where I'll share some tips that will help you smoothly navigate your travel planning in 2022. Let's get it.
Dream vacations start here.
Hey, for this meeting for the first time, my name is Ben. I own and run my own travel agency. And here on this channel, I create videos that will help you with travel planning for your next vacation. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to list 5 expectations that I see will happen this year for travel. And the first expectation that I have for this year is that just like last year, domestic travel here in the U.S. will be big again this year. And a big reason for that is because of all the restrictions that are in place around the world. And it's not like every country has the same restrictions. Of course, that would be too easy. No, every country has its own restrictions regarding vaccination and testing requirements, and they are constantly changing, which makes it very challenging and at times confusing to plan a trip outside of the U.S. Another factor of wanting to stay domestic is the fear of getting sick. It's not as big a deal if you're traveling around here in the U.S. and you get sick. You can easily cut your trip short and drive home if you had to. But if you get sick in another country, it's a whole other situation. If you test positive for COVID, you can't come back to the U.S. until you either test negative or have recovered from COVID, which then has to be determined by a medical professional. So if you're forced to extend your stay in whichever country you're staying at and you're not planning to, you're probably on the hook for those extra expenses. Now, depending on where you're staying at, some resorts and hotels will let you extend your stay free of charge for a period of time if you test positive for COVID, while others will not. So not only would you have the potential of paying for extra nights and food costs for testing positive for COVID, but if you also receive medical treatment while you are visiting another country, you would also be on the hook for those expenses as well, unless you had travel insurance, which would reimburse you all those extra costs. For those of you who like to cruise, it's been a very difficult couple years for that industry, and the restrictions are at a whole nother level. Not only is there testing and vaccination requirements just to get on a cruise ship, but there's no guarantee that the cruise that you want to go on to will eventually cancel, or that you'll get to see some of the countries you're hoping to visit. If there are COVID cases on board, the countries can easily decide to turn those cruise ships away, and they have and will probably continue to do so until COVID is under control. So yeah, it's definitely another reason why people are choosing to stay domestic. And I know this has been a long first point, but travel has now become a personal choice. You really need to assess everything that's going on and decide for yourself if all the requirements that need to be met, the health risks involved, and the possibility of having to quarantine while you're on vacation is worth it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the second point of what to expect for travel here in 2022. And what I've been seeing is that people are now willing to travel for longer periods of time. If people are being forced to jump through a lot of extra hoops just to be able to travel, they're going to make it worth their time. And just to give you some stats, according to a recent poll conducted by Expedia earlier this year, 2/3 of Americans are planning significant trips this year, and at least 30% of those are planning to extend their vacations longer than they normally would, and are also open to spending more to do so. As for destinations, that poll indicated that 59% of Americans are sticking to domestic trips this year, while 37% are going international. The top destinations that were indicated for U.S. domestic trips were Orlando and Destin, Florida, as well as Maui, Hawaii. While the top global destinations were London, Madrid, Rome, and the Mexican Caribbean. So if you're planning on traveling to any of those destinations this year, expect it to be crowded. The next thing I expect this year for travel is the increase in what is known as workcations. And if you've never heard that phrase before, it is what it sounds like. You're essentially working and doing your job from a vacation spot. Now that a lot more people are working remotely and very rarely have to go into an office setting, this has really given people a freedom like they've never had before, and they're starting to take advantage of it. If I can do my job all on a computer, why not work from the Caribbean or Hawaii or even Europe for a month? You don't have to use vacation time, and it allows you to work and play just about anywhere you want. And to go along with that, the number 4 thing to expect for travel this year, and really something that has been trending since the start of COVID, is the demand for vacation rentals. If I had to travel somewhere where I can enjoy the location without having to interact with a lot of people, it would be a vacation rental. Not only are they private, but they're essentially a home away from home. You can cook all your meals there, and you might have a private pool that comes with the rental. And depending on where you decide to stay, you could have private access to a beach that would not be very crowded because it would be located on private property. Or you could get a rental that is centrally located in relation to the sites that you want to visit. Vacation rentals tend to be more expensive than hotels, but if you're sharing it with other family members or friends, it ends up being worth the cost to not only have everyone staying together, but also the privacy you get with it. And the number 5 thing to expect for travel this year is crowded national parks. They have been popular the last 2 summers since COVID started, and I expect them to be just as crowded this year. Last summer, some of the national parks implemented a reservation system, meaning you had to have a reservation to either enter all or sections of the park, as well as even paying a fee. And I expect that to be the case again this year. So if you're planning on heading to a national park this year, make sure to plan ahead and check the national park website that you're heading to see if a reservation is needed to enter. And if you're planning to lodge inside the park, I would book those sooner than later. And finally, I'll leave you with some travel tips that'll help you if you're looking to plan a vacation this year. The first tip I have for you is to be flexible, especially with your time and budget. I would say paying for refundable flights and travel insurance is going to be well worth the cost for you. If you can find a cancel for any reason policy, that would be the best and safest option, as if you were to get sick right before your trip, you'd be able to get reimbursed for the total cost of your trip. Most standard travel insurance policies don't cover illness or pandemic-related delays. The second tip I have for you is if you're renting a car, I would choose the option to book now and pay later. The pay now options are often non-refundable, so choosing to pay later will allow you to cancel without penalty should your plans change. The next tip I have for you is that if your travel dates are fixed and you're traveling to a popular destination like Mexico or Hawaii, I would book as early as possible. Demand for those locations are only going to increase as the year goes on, especially if COVID starts to subside. Make sure you also research the destination you're going to see what restrictions are in place, and you want to build in extra time for testing and quarantines on both ends of your trip. If you're booking tours or looking to visit museums or any other indoor venues, make sure they are open and if they require proof of vaccination or a COVID test before entering. Also, if you're heading internationally for a trip, you want to research where you can get your COVID test done in order to re-enter the U.S. Most hotels have testing available on location, but if they don't, you'll need to find a place to get it done before you're able to return to the U.S. Most of the major airports also have testing available, but expect long lines if you choose to get tested there. Ultimately, traveling in 2022 means spending a lot of time researching each destination that you want to go to, and then being ready to cancel or change your plans at any time. If you're up for that, then there are plenty of options for you out there. On the other hand, you can use a travel professional like myself to save you the time in researching and planning your trip by advising you of all the requirements needed to travel, as well as creating the best trip for you based on your comfort level and desires for your trip. The best part is we get to keep up with all the changes going on, and if issues arise while on your trip, we can help resolve those so you can get back to enjoying your vacation. If you're interested in taking a trip this year and would like to use my services as a travel professional to help you plan and book a trip this year, you can find my contact information in the video show notes. Also in the show notes, I'll list some free resources that you can use that'll help you in planning a trip this year, so be sure to check those out. Hope you found this video helpful, and if it was, let me know by hitting the like button for me, and consider subscribing to see more of these type of videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in a future video.